Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. Happy Catty Crypto here. So starting the weekend on a more positive front, and that positive front being sit back, relax, enjoy the ride. If you're here for the long run, I don't understand why it matters as to what the volume's doing, what the price is doing, but I get it if you're a day trader. But guys, folks, people, boys, girls, men, women, cats, dogs, hamsters, whatever kind of species you may be, in this wonderful food chain, just chill, okay? Just take a chill pill, guys. And in times of darkness, and I put this tweet out and a lot of people were like messaging me like, is something wrong? Is it all crashing, Jay? And it's just like, guys, calm down, okay? It's just an inspirational quote, okay? We're at this point now where, you know, your average investor just can't see past what is actually going on. But what's going on is the attention that's being brought to Lunar Classic is huge. We have so many different projects that want to get involved, regardless of them having like good sentiment towards it or a negative sentiment towards it, wanting to make money off the community or make the community money. They want to get involved. And the thing is with decentralization is that the complete fact is that none of us can prevent anybody from doing stuff. And if we can't go around defaming people or slandering people, going on huge slandering campaigns, this isn't what this community is about. Okay, we do our research, we do our own due diligence, and we inform others to do the same. But this whole, like, I'm seeing like people are now, you know, we're all huddled together and people are starting to peck one another because we're in like this kind of phase of stagnation, so to speak. But we're going to go over and we're going to listen to Edward Kim's Medium article on Proposition 5234. I'm going to let you guys listen to this and then I'm going to give you my opinion on it. And I'm going to give you my God's honest opinion of what I believe is the right course of action. And I'm going to be brutally honest as well. So be prepared for that.
Terra Classic Proposal 5234. A recent proposal has posted by a community member Akujiro that has picked up quite a bit of traction. The proposal aims to lower the taxes from 1.2% to 0.2% and then take 10% of the collected seigniorage and add it to the community pool at the end of the epoch. Before explaining my decision, I would like to express my appreciation to community member Akujiro and commend them for their work. I believe this is what governance was meant to look like, where anyone from the community is engaged enough with the ecosystem, identify a policy.
Wait, hold up. What happened to his voice? Why did he all of a sudden turn into Darth Vader? Hang on a minute. What's going on here? What happened? You went all Darth Vader-y on us.
Terra Classic Proposal community member Akujiro. Pool. Collect 10% seigniorage.
That's better.
In the traditional definition of the word, seigniorage is the revenue for a government when the money it creates is worth more than it costs to produce. In the Terra Treasury, this is described as the cost of acquiring external collateral such as fiat for the stablecoin. Seigniorage equals new minted currency, cost of acquiring collateral. Indeed, what we had before the depeg was the swapping of Luna into UST, which would burn Luna and mint UST. That burned Luna would be recorded by the seigniorage and then minted at the end of the epoch. Based upon the reward weight parameter, some of that minted seigniorage would be given to the Oracle pool, and some would be given back to the community pool. With the introduction of Columbus 5, the Oracle pool was replaced with a permanent burn, so now the split of the seigniorage would be between permanent burns and the community pool. When the market swap was disabled between Luna and UST, and the entire lunk burn movement started, seigniorage took on a different meaning altogether. Now, you can think of it as representing the amount of the total supply that has been burned in the last epoch. This is directly computed by subtracting the recorded old total supply with the new total supply and after the epoch, approximately 7 days. The treasury parameter reward weight is a number between 0 to 1 that represents a percentage of how much of the seigniorage each epoch is redirected to the community pool versus being burned. A value of 1.0 indicates that 100% of the seigniorage should be burned after each epoch. But wait, hasn't the seigniorage already been burned? It has. At the end of the epoch all of the burned tokens are immediately re-minted and then immediately burned again. This means that even though the reward weight might be set to 0.9 or 90% burned, it will seemingly function as a setting of 100% burns during the week, and then mint 10% of that burn back. Another thing to realize is that you are voting to burn 90% of the total burn during the epoch. These burns are not just the ones as a result of the on-chain tax, but it also includes any manual burns sent to the burn wallet. As a result, if this passes, you should not be alarmed if you see a green mint candle on the lunk burn chart. This is simply the mechanism by which seigniorage works. That being said, I have written about how we need to raise funds for the chain. A community pool can be used for emergency funds, attracting DApps and projects back to the chain, and paying developers to improve the chain. I vote yes for the 0.9 parameter change. Reduce the tax burn from 1.2% to 0.2%. Now to the more controversial change, the decrease of taxes from 1.2% to 0.2%. I would like to preface my explanation with the disclaimer that I am not an economist and cannot make any predictions about how this parameter change will affect on-chain liquidity, traffic, or price. However, I am an expert on optimization, specifically machine learning optimization, and so I am drawing upon that knowledge to guide my decision. Arguments to decrease the tax. I have heard quite a number of people expressing both positive and negative sentiment towards decreasing the tax. The positive group believes that decreasing the tax will bring back the on-chain liquidity and that the current rates are prohibitively expensive. They also oftentimes cite one or two examples of projects or DApps that have mentioned they are shutting down or not coming back to the chain because of the high tax.
I personally know of at least one project that is doing multiple hops in their DApp and thus being taxed multiple times.
While I sympathize for these projects, it is hard for me to objectively.
I think my medium's got some sign kind of come to the dark side. What's wrong with this? So I'm just going to keep playing this.
Objectively assess the
and we're not going to listen to all of it.
As I believe there may be a component of confirmation bias where the tax reduction crowd may just be cherry-picking these projects to make their point. I say this because I know of other projects that have migrated just fine and are working building without hesitation on chain.
And that's where I'm going to pause it there, because this is something that is being pushed out quite heavily, saying, projects are struggling because of this tax and, reducing it's going to help them so much. And, I myself work with many projects that are not having an issue. I myself am not actually having an issue building out what we're building out currently. So let's keep listening to it, and then I'm going to give you my utmost honest opinion.
I personally know of at least one project that is doing multiple hops in their DApp and thus being taxed multiple times.
While I sympathize for these projects, it is hard for me to objectively assess the impact of this criticism, as I believe there may be a component of confirmation bias where the tax reduction crowd may just be cherry-picking these projects to make their point. I say this because I know of other projects that have migrated just fine and are working building without hesitation on chain. As to the argument that the volume on chain will increase with the 0.2% tax reduction, I think this is a logical argument, but I am very skeptical that it will make that much of a difference. Furthermore, as new validators comes back, I believe we will naturally see an uptick in on-chain volume as validators attract new delegations.
And as you guys know, I've been saying about this for the past week, 2 weeks, saying that new validators will attract new delegates and new projects and things like that across the board. And I myself don't believe just because we decreased the burn tax from 1.2% down to 0.2%, it's going to magically remedy everything, and everything suddenly, all the projects will be like, oh my God, they took away this, huge burn tax, which isn't really actually a huge burn tax anyway. As you can see, Ed's got this kind of on the fence opinion, and I'm on the fence. I'm on the fence about it as well, because the way the world works is, okay, we can't all agree on everything all the time. If we did, it would be very, very weird, and we would all be stood in a room smiling at each other all the time, and it would just be like overly weird, if you catch my drift. So we can't always all agree, but I will move with the overall consensus of this community as to what they feel is the best, because you guys have been around to understand mostly how this market works, how all of this gets affected and things like that. If you believe reducing the 1.2% burn tax is going to increase volume, then it's down to you guys to vote on that. But my opinion of it is it's too early. I'm 100% in support of reducing the burn tax, but I feel it's not even been a month. It's not even been a month. We always knew there was going to be an initial hit. All of the projects, and this is something where I'm not on the fence, is that everybody knew this tax was coming, right? It was all that was talked about for a long time. I mean, if you didn't see it and you didn't know it was coming, I honestly don't know what planet you was living on at that point. But I think, like Ed's saying, they're cherry picking projects and putting them forward. So let's listen to Ed's arguments to keep the tax.
Delegations. Uptick in volume will be confounded with the unlocking of new utility on the chain and thus may not be accurately measurable with the timing of this proposal. Arguments to keep the 1.2% tax. Now to the tax keepers, the main argument that I hear is that we do not have enough data, and it is too soon to change course. To the argument of we do not have enough data, I completely agree, but to the argument of it is too soon to change course, I disagree. For this, I would like to reference two frameworks in mathematical optimization. The first is a reinforcement learning optimization algorithm called epsilon greedy. Let's say you go to the casino and are presented with 10 different slot machines. What you know is that each one of these slot machines have different reward schedules. In the very beginning, you have no idea what to expect in terms of rewards, you pick one at random. This is called the exploration phase. You sit in front of this machine for a bit and pull the lever and see what happens. Now the question is, how long do you stay at the same machine before moving to the next one? 5 pulls, 10 pulls, 20 pulls. In the epsilon greedy algorithm, in the early stages, the best optimization strategy is to explore as early as possible. You only have one data point and need more information in order to maximize future reward. Thus, changing machines is important. I believe that is similar to where we are now, with a 1.2%. We do not have enough data, so I believe it is important to continue exploring. Now, some of you may call foul. The scenario above is not completely synonymous as we do have information about the different slot machines. And in fact, smarter people than me have convincing economic arguments about the improvements to chain volume and project adoption for a lower tax. This leads me to a second optimization algorithm that is widely used to optimize an objective function called gradient descent. Imagine you are on a rocky mountain and your goal is to get to the bottom of this mountain. It is really foggy or cloudy so you can see a few feet around you, so not that far. And for one last stretch of the imagination, imagine you can take really big steps, like giant mile-long steps if you wanted to. Now the process of gradient descent is to look around you and find which direction, if you take a step, will take you in the right direction. You see the right direction to go down, but now the question is, how big of a step do I take? Do I take little steps, only where I can see? Do I take medium steps, half of my step stride? Or do I take a big step down the direction of steepest descent?
So I'm going to pause it there because this theory, I've spoken about this before, and I actually did a huge tweet on it, but I can't find it. And I explained about it, you're climbing a mountain, and you think that you can see the top, but actually you can't see the top yet. And then you get up there and there's still time to go, and then you need to. So I totally get where Ed's coming from with this, but you know, without going too much, I'll leave a link to this in the description for this video, but you know, my basis, go on, Strafe Cole. I believe solely it's just too early, but at the same time, I'll move with the broader consensus of this community because, like I said, we have to, you know, at some point, something's got to give. Someone has to kind of, you know, accept that this is happening, whether they like it or not. You know, someone's got to make a sacrifice for the greater good of the rest of the community, and that's the way I see it. So if you guys are going to support this, and I'm totally with you. I mean, I'm not putting up a video saying, you know, I voted yes or I voted no, like a lot of these other YouTubers are, because I don't want to try and sway you guys into voting yes or no. What I'm simply telling you is do your own research, understand the implications of what this reduction can and cannot do. And then remember, nothing's guaranteed, and anything that can go wrong will go wrong. So we always need to be aware that just because we're dropping the 1.2% burn tax doesn't mean it's magically going to bring all these projects back that actually left because USTC is broken. If you look into the system, you would know. And if you listen to Lunkdown and myself, you know, you would understand that a lot of these projects that left because USTC in the system was broken. And they really need USTC or some kind of stable-ish coin to work with so they can keep doing what they were doing, like Orion money. So guys, always vote carefully, and Ed states it best at the bottom of this is basically, you know, don't just jump on a particular bandwagon when it comes to these decisions. Like, and I've said to you guys so many times before, because the way it stands now, and I'm going to lay it down as simply as possible for you guys, All Nodes right now has the final say. Yes, that's right. So All Nodes is now in a position where they have the final say. And the reason being is because they haven't voted yet, and their voting power is enough to either make it or break it, so to speak. So, you know, it's all on all nodes again. And then this comes into the issue of centralization of voting power, which is people not spreading their delegations, so to speak. But I think this will all change when new validators come on board and, you know, these new validators start to show what they're doing for the blockchain and stuff like that. So my God's honest opinion is it's just not the right time. There's a time and a place for everything, and I think this is too soon, like far too soon. Like I said, it's not been a month. We need more time to collect data. I've worked in many different infrastructures in my life, and one of those was pretty much assessing the optimization of how a company works. Like, for example, you know, moving equipment from one part of the country to another, and then optimizing how to move everything in loads. You know, minimizing the moving that an individual human's doing, minimizing the amount one human handles an item when they use it, so to speak. And even if something's not going according to plan when we're doing like when I used to do this sort of thing, we would always see at least, I think the average process was just over, so it was like 2 months, 4 days. And regardless of what was going on, even if it was having a negative effect, we would see it out because we would still need to gather the data to then take it back to our superiors and say to them, look, this didn't work. We've got the data to show you that it didn't work. And you know, it's all about data in this day and age, in my opinion. You've always got to be providing good data. And Akajuro's done such an amazing job on providing an awesome proposal with both pros and cons thrown into it. But like I said, guys, make up your own decision. Don't allow other people to sway your minds. And like Ed said, cherry picking seems to have be a thing. So guys, have a really nice Saturday. Stay safe. I'm not a financial advisor. Do remember that. Neither is the cat. And, you know, beware of scammers, you know, beware of doppelgangers, beware of anybody pretending to be me. And we'll catch you in the next one. Sure.